Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to more League of Legends news. Of course, this video, guys, we're going to focus on all the Korean trades and roster swaps so far. There's not too many, although most of them are actually amongst the top 2 or 3 teams, especially around SKT. On top of that, though, the very back half of the episode, you guys can look at timestamps down below. I'm going to talk about some notable trades out there, as well as some rumors that have been talked about other scenes, mainly North America, as well as maybe a European rumor as well. But I hope you guys all enjoy. Of course, let's hop right into it, though. The biggest trades we have seen so far revolving, not shockingly, around the team that's keeping their one main player, that being Faker and SKT. Of course, Leo and Effort alongside him, guys, and they lived up to their promise. Remember their post as well? They talked about the 7 players they would be re-signing, that being they're dropping 7 and re-signing 7, and we now have the finalized list, guys. Crazy, Khan, Klid, Mata, Haru, Teddy, alongside Fly. The entire list is now complete, and this kind of just baffles me. We don't see many teams out there, if any, actually have 9 players plus their coach, a 10-man team pretty much all in all. Fly, of course, will be the coach alongside Kakoma, sticking to that roster. On top of that, you have to think of a lot of things so far with this studded roster, guys. Even just the backups in Mata and Crazy and Haru, you can really see these guys even placing top 6 in the league so far during probably at least one of the splits, and that's just in the backups. If you have to think as well, if this team does not come away with at least one win, winning at least one split, it would almost be seen as a failure, I think, in almost everyone's eyes. This is an absolutely stacked roster. Of all the trades we have seen so far, between even a Liquid or a Cloud9 acquiring, and also some questionable ones out there, and other teams like TSM, even though Misfits and G2, other rumors out there, of all the rosters we've seen so far signed some very powerful players, this one has the most depth and has the most potential to live up to, I would say, what we see as expectations to actually win a world championship. This team is crazy looking. I mean, you just take this team all together. Of course, you have Faker, a staple of this team, a staple in Korea, and will likely always stay in Korea. You take Khan for your early game, Teddy for your late game, the backups, you can swap in whatever, but it could play to a weakness, right? We've seen some teams out there make swaps that have backfired a little bit. When you actually try and tend to find your starting 5, it can also hurt you in the early season. So expect the first split maybe to be a bit rougher around the edges, but again, with the talent on this lineup, guys, a couple champions with it, and a couple MVPs alongside it, certainly a powerful roster. And also on top of that, think about in the free time, with them having 9 players, 10 if you include Fly, as well as Kakoma, guys, these guys can literally practice all around the clock against themselves. If that does not count towards something, this roster is absolutely star-studded. I cannot wait to see what they do. But if there is one roster to contest this roster as well, we've seen many teams out there across NA, EU, as well as the LCK, including this one being KT Rolster, taking big risks so far. This one is certainly one. KT Rolster changing out 2 members. It will be to, of course, add to their starting 5. The first of which going to be one of the best signings I have seen so far, that being to take on Faker in the mid lane, BDD, himself a 2-time MVP, guys. A great pickup. You also re-sign Score, you re-sign Smeb. Score is somehow still around in the game, but the riskiest signing we've seen so far, but surprisingly the 3rd signing from the TCL. Of course, the first 2 being TSM signing Broken Blade from Royal Youth. Alongside that, Royal Youth, other member right now being Abadaga, apparently being rumored to go somewhere in EU. As of right now, the question in the air remains to be what European team he will go to. This will likely be one of the very few, if not the only, we've seen in a long time, and actually in a while. Very, very uncommon, guys, to see a 2-time TCL champion or any TCL players actually joining the LCK. That will be SnowFlower, guys, apparently joining this KT Rolster roster as well. I do think a hefty risk, but nonetheless, we've seen risk, of course, pay off. Big risk, big reward for this team. On paper, guys, speaking of which, I really do think, besides SKT, if you don't expect at least a split win out of them, you got to say KT Rolster certainly going to make a Worlds playoff performance or a playoff appearance once again with this roster if they find their click. Certainly a risky move here, but nonetheless, guys, some big signings from both KT alongside SKT. And also in rumors out there, I would say probably the biggest news as well is potentially Prey leaving the League of Legends scene. We've actually seen on stream, unless you guys actually speak Korean, it's been translated as well by many websites. I'll link an article down below for all of you. It's been confirmed Prey is heavily considering to leave the League of Legends scene altogether. He has received several offers which are apparently way too good for his caliber. He even admits that, and apparently has turned them all down for now. He might return to competitive league. He is still in deciding, or in the decision area as well, if he actually will return for these next few splits as well as this next season. We can assume one of those, of course, based off rumors as well, one of those offers was, of course, from KT Rolster, guys, but apparently still turning down that offer for now. If he does join that team, I would still, even as a team, when you got to hear this kind of stuff as well, he takes to a 20-minute stream. He also expresses in an interview, guys, he might be taking a step back, and the offers he's received are way too good to be true. If I was a team and making one of those initial offers, rumors, I might take a step back from actually having a guy who is so tentative to apparently play this season. But apparently KT Rolster is one of the offers of many on the table for Prey, but he is still considering to take his step back from League of Legends, and I'm kind of surprised to see. We've seen many other players out there take their paychecks to North America or Europe. It seems he will be taking his break from League of Legends. If rumors do tend to be true as they have been these past few weeks, we will actually see Prey leaving the League of Legends scene. If he does return, though, you best believe he has plenty of offers on that table. And speaking of KT, guys, I want to applaud Afreeca Freaks for making a very simple trade. We have not seen many simple additions so far from many teams out there. They will be signing former KT man, that's actually UCal, replacing Curl on that roster. Of course, Afreeca making their finite brief appearance at semifinals at Worlds just this past year against Fnatic. It was a very, very one-sided series for sure, but still, nonetheless, throughout group play, throughout both splits, looking like a decent roster and certainly a top 4 team in my own opinion. This is a nice, simple, slight improvement just based off a one-lane trade. So I definitely agree with this for now. Again, we're going to see how it plays out, of course, but I definitely agree with Afreeca here, making a nice, simple, and slight move upward. On top of that, though, notable mentions, guys, very lastly, in League of Legends news out there, I want to talk all around OpTic Gaming, who we have seen definitely a struggle from, of course, yet to place even top 6 either split these past seasons, and definitely a team who has almost somewhat lost their direction, especially after, of course, leaving or losing PoE, Power of Evil, that by far and away their best player on that roster. It will be Crown from Gen G to replace him. Alongside that, guys, a bit of confusion rumor-wise as to who's going to stick around on this team. Arrow is a big question mark, likely to keep Dokla for now, which I definitely am going to agree with for now as well. They will be signing Meteos on top of that. So the direction-wise, right, you also lose a Cadian on top of that, who have been mixed opinions around. I think, in my opinion, an inconsistent guy who was kind of tried by that. Definitely had his high points, but certainly kind of almost had a bit too much inconsistency for me to actually feel too bad about that loss on the roster. So you have a Dokla, you have a Meteos, you have, of course, Crown addition. I think Crowd's still a big downgrade from a guy like PoE, and I'm really struggling to see the vision of where this roster wants to go. Maybe if Arrow is going to leave that roster, pull in a guy like Cody Sun. If you're going to reach that deep into your pockets for people like Meteos and, of course, people like Crown, reach a little deeper. Especially right now, we have questions and rumors all around OpTic Gaming. If you guys have not heard these rumors about their upper management, the esports they have started to leave, they have really been sticking to their staples. That being Call of Duty, their brand new Overwatch team, Houston Outlaws, from last season, of course, being their first iteration, and now, of course, their League of Legends team is now being rumored to potentially be leaving. Now they've left Dota, they've left Halo, they've dropped a couple of CSGO teams, a few other esports mixed in there as well. You have to question, if these next 2 splits do not go well for OpTic Gaming, will they eventually leave these leagues? Because the current esports they're currently in, having these leagues, that being Overwatch and League of Legends, these league spots are very expensive and they're very pricey to maintain as well, with these expensive rosters all being generally your new sign or your expensive players, that being, of course, Meteos alongside Crown, and who else they also decide to sign. But give me a Cody Sun and I see direction for this roster. Will they be a guaranteed top 6? There's no doubt, there's no way that I can guarantee anything with this roster, but I still have hope. I'm an OpTic fan, I must have hope. But that's going to do it for League of Legends news. I hope you guys all enjoy. As always, my name is Jake. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow or Friday, as there are plenty of trades going on, and we will continue to cover all of them for all of you guys. Leave a comment down below what team you think has made the best trade or swap so far, and as always, I'll see you soon.